there was another part that I loved that everyone's gonna be like, oh my god, she loves this. I did. I loved it very much. Hi everyone, thanks for stopping by my channel. This is the first video that I'm uploading, and today I'm going to talk about the Grisha Trilogy. I just read it for the first time because Netflix said they were going to turn it into a series, and I heard that this had been a very popular book for a long time, and a few more have just come out that are within the Grishaverse, so I figured I would give it a try. This will be a review that has spoilers in it, so if you haven't read the books, please click away. I don't want to ruin them for you. Unless you love spoilers, then go ahead and keep watching, but there will be on my channel another video that's shorter that just gives my thoughts briefly over the whole series that you can check out to help you figure out if you'd like to read the series or not. But click away now if you don't want to spoil it, because this is it. Here we go. So Shadow and Bone, the first book in the series, it's basically the whole backstory, sort of. There's not a whole lot of backstory on Alina because she is an orphan, but it's her story about how she comes to find out that she actually is a Grisha far longer after she's supposed to know when they get tested when they're younger. And she finds out she's actually a very rare power. She doesn't have a power that many Grisha do have, and she's the one person who can defeat this darkness in Ravka that has been created by black magic, and it's called the Fold, or the Unsee, the Shadow Fold. And so she's taken to this palace right away after she finds out that she has these powers, and the whole thing, the only thing I could think about the entire time I was reading this first book was how similar the Red Queen series was, because it's the same thing where this girl finds out she has a power when she's really not supposed to, and they take her to a palace and they teach her about how to use her powers and how to live life in the court. So that was super fun for me because I really enjoyed those series also, but it was just a fun place for her to be, I guess, even though she was going through some really intense stuff. I loved the little palace. I loved the people that she met there. Genya actually ends up being actually ends up being one of my favorite characters in the whole series, and that's when we're introduced to her. So a couple of the big things that I'm going to touch on in this review are going to be my favorite characters, which Genya was one of them. Sorry, my notes are over here. Everybody really liked the Darkling. I did not. Everybody hates Mal, and I did not. Nikolai is obviously the best character in the entire series, and you can fight me on that if you want. And a lot of people weren't satisfied with the ending of Ruin and Rising, but I actually was, but that's getting a little bit ahead of myself. Sticking to Shadow and Bone, I didn't like the Darkling from the beginning. Something just felt off about him the whole time. I wasn't quite sure, because he just seemed too nice, and then like when he came out to be the bad guy, like I wasn't surprised, but I was really happy that he was the bad guy. He was one of those villains that like I loved to hate, but everybody loved to love him, so I'm not quite sure. I feel like I was reading an entirely different book series at that point, but the interaction between Alina and the Darkling were interesting and fun to read. He just wasn't my favorite character in the entire series. And in this book, there's a lot of the Darkling, obviously, so. But I shipped Mal and Alina from the very beginning, and I guess there are people that didn't like Mal. I totally get that he's one of those boys that like didn't realize his best friend was everything he needed until he didn't have her anymore. I get that. That's annoying. I understand. When the Darkling has Mal in a cage before they enter the fold, and he's going to sacrifice him to the Volcra, and he actually lets Alina go in to say goodbye to him. That scene where she told him about the scar on her hand and where it came from and why it was there, it just made me so, I was like physically like sitting on the couch reading the book going like making noises because I couldn't hold it in anymore. But there's a quote that says, "In the creaking silence of the cell, Mal kissed the scar on my palm," and I was just like, yes, he did. He did do that because he is Mal, and we love him for that. So it makes me sad that people didn't like him. Like I totally get it. His character was just kind of like but it's the romance trope, and I have to go for it because that's just who I am as a person. I have no hope for fantasy novels. But then moving on to Siege and Storm, this book, it was okay. The only thing that I had with this series was that it felt like they found the amplifiers so quickly, and I don't know how that made me feel. It felt like it was everything else was paced super well except the finding of the amplifiers. Like, I understand, like, I had to tell myself, like, they had been tracking the stag for a really long time, her and Mal, and when they finally found it, I loved that she didn't, like, she showed up Mercy right away. But the amplifier, that was one thing that I struggled with, was how quickly they found them. And then the conclusion that Mal was an amplifier, and the last book, that happened really fast too. That was one of the only things I had with these books, is how quickly everything developed. Like, I remember sitting and like being like, you know, the very end of Ruin and Rising, and there was maybe like that much left, and I was like, there is so much that needs to happen in such a short amount of time, that like I was physically nervous about it because I didn't know how it was gonna work out. But Ruin and Rising was probably my favorite book out of all of them, except for the beginning. I didn't really care for when they were in the White Cathedral, because the Apprat was like my least favorite character, and I don't think it was the way he was written. I just think he was creepy, which is, I mean, what he was supposed to do. I don't like to talk about characters in the way that they were written, because they were written a specific way by the author, so if you don't like them because of that, then I don't know, I just try not to do that as much. But like, just his character in the book was like, I don't know, I feel like, I don't know what I wanted done with him, but I just didn't want him in the book. But that was something else about the book that I wasn't like super in love with, was some of the pacing kind of threw me off, and like the pacing at the very beginning, like I felt like they were in the White Cathedral for so long, but also if they had gotten out of the White Cathedral any sooner, I would have been like, well, that was really fast. I don't know what I wanted. You can't make me happy. But other than that, like, I was really satisfied with the ending for this. People said that they wanted her to end up with the Darkling, but I obviously didn't ship the Darkling and Alina from the beginning. I was always Mal and Alina in my heart. That's where they lie. Otherwise, I would have been happy if she ended up with Nikolai. Like, that would have been the next best thing. Like, if Mal had actually died and they didn't bring it back, which I was glad they did. So you can take my opinion with a grain of salt if you want. I'm always gonna go for the most romantic storyline in the book, because that's just where my head goes. I'm a big romance nerd, so like that made me super happy that he came back, and it was just, she kept saying bring him back to me, and I was just like, yes, please bring him back to her. But hey, that's just me. But overall, like, I really liked, I love the books in general, and I actually already have 6 of Crows, so we're gonna get that started probably after I'm done filming this video. And then we will move on to Crooked Kingdom, and I cannot wait to read King of Scars, because Nikolai's the best, and he deserves his own series and his own book, so I'm gonna eat that up. Oh, that was another thing that I really liked too, was I loved the idea that Nikolai got turned into, insert that word because I have no idea how to say it. It was super cool that, like, I'm gonna call him a flying monkey, even though I don't think that's really what he was, but it was giving me really strong Wizard of Oz vibes. And I loved that for him, because he had been this king that had fought for so much and loved his country, and, you know, was doing everything he could to make it better, and then like the Darkling just broke him, and there's nothing better than when a character gets pushed and broken and then comes back from it. It's the best. And so I think to have him go through that, I would have loved to see more of that. I'm not entirely sure what goes on in King of Scars, but like I'm kind of hoping that we get some backstory to that, because that would have been something I would have loved to have more of, because the one interaction between the two of Nikolai and Alina, when he asks her to pull it out of him and it like starts to work a little bit, like I was living for that scene. But, and then it, you know, it ended and it didn't work. But just, there's so much that I can talk about in these books, and I probably should have planned this video out a little bit better, but I'm just gushing, so that's what we're gonna do. So one of my favorite quotes, oh gosh, this is so funny, because I didn't know how I felt about Genya and David, because it was just kind of like a weird side thing that I was like, yeah, okay, this is happening, sure. I wasn't questioning it, but I wasn't like feeling it really either. But the part when he says, beauty was your armor, beauty was your armor, beauty was your armor, fragile stuff, all show, but what's inside you, that's steel. It's brave and unbreakable, and it doesn't need fixing. That was quality writing. I lived for that part, just because I loved what he said and how it worked, and like it was just really cute, and I love Genya, and she deserves the world. So that was how I felt about that. Overall, like, if I were to recommend this book, I would highly recommend the entire series. I'm excited to go into Six of Crows because I know that there are people, like, that's their top tier book that they rank other books to, so I can't wait to read it because I'm sure it's probably gonna be better than this because it's newer, and like everybody, I've heard a couple people say that like Lee's writing got even better, so I'm really excited to see how those books turn out, and I can't wait to get a video of them to talk about those so I have other people to talk about it with. But overall, great series. It was super fun to read, and I can't wait to get into the next set of books and talk about those with you guys. But yeah, this was fun, especially for filming my first video. I was a little nervous, but this has been something I've wanted to do for a while, especially since I've been getting back into reading and writing, and I'm almost done with my writing minor at college, so that was exciting also. But if you guys enjoyed, you know the drill. I'm not gonna go through it with you. But you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, like at MollyLouMelon. I'll link it below because it's kind of a weird spelling. But yeah, thanks for stopping in today, you guys. If you guys have any other book recommendations, I'm always taking it because I need anything and everything that I can possibly read. There's going to be a little bit of different stuff all over this channel. I'm not quite sure what I want to do yet. I don't want to narrow it down to one thing and keep myself stuck with that, but I love reading, so there's definitely going to be a lot of book material. I love crafting, I love stuff like that. I love music. I'm actually going on vacation this summer, so you'll probably see some of that as well. So stick around and hang out and have some fun with me because I'm really excited about it. So thank you guys, and make sure to check out the other videos that I have coming up soon. I'm planning on uploading Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so we'll see how that goes. And thanks for stopping by. See ya.